Om Sthavakaya ca dharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupine Sthavakaya ca dharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupine Avadara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te Namah. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityor ma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today's topic I have chosen from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Everybody will surely be liberated. This is the topic on which I am going to speak today. This is said by Sri Ramakrishna himself. He has given assurance to everyone, and that liberation can be achieved. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, there is only one God, call Him by any name and worship Him in any aspect that pleases you. You are sure to see Him. This is the statement made by Sri Ramakrishna more than a century after his death. Sri Ramakrishna's words remain as relevant today as they were during his lifetime. Sri Ramakrishna was seated with his devotees in the drawing room of Ramakrishna Mukherjee's house in Calcutta. A number of neighbors and other friends of Ramakrishna had been invited to meet Sri Ramakrishna. They were all eager to hear Sri Ramakrishna's words. Master said, God and His glory. This universe is God's glory. People see His glory and forget everything. They do not see God, whose glory is this world. All seek to enjoy lust and gold. But there is too much misery and worry in that. Sri Ramakrishna compares this world to a whirlpool of the Vishalakshi, a stream near Sri Ramakrishna's birthplace. Once a boat gets into it, there is no hope of its rescue. Again, Sri Ramakrishna compares this world to a thorny bush. You have hardly freed yourself from one set of thorns before you found yourself entangled in another. Once you enter a labyrinth, you find it difficult to get out. Living in the world, man becomes seared, as it were. A devotee asked Sri Ramakrishna, Sir, then what's the way? Master said, prayer and company of holy men. You cannot get rid of an ailment without the help of a physician. But it is not enough to be in the company of religious people only for a day. You should constantly seek it, because the disease has become chronic. Again, you can't understand the pulse rightly unless you live with a physician. Moving with him constantly you learn to distinguish between the pulse of phlegm and the pulse of bile. The devotee further asked, "What is the good of holy men?" Master said, "It begets yearning for God. It begets love of God. Nothing whatsoever is achieved in spiritual life without yearning. By constantly living in the company of holy men, the soul becomes restless for God. This yearning is like the state of mind of a man who has someone ill in the family. His mind is in a state of perpetual restlessness, thinking how the sick person may be cured. Or again, one should feel a yearning for God like the yearning of a man who has lost his job and is wandering from one office to another in search of work. If he is rejected at a certain place that has no vacancy, he goes there again the next day and inquires, "Is there any vacancy today?" There is another way, earnestly praying to God. God is our very own. We should say to him, "O God, what is thy nature? Reveal thyself to me. Thou must show thyself to me, for why else hast thou created me?" Some Sikh devotees once said to me, "God is full of compassion." Sri Ramakrishna said, "Why should we call him compassionate? He is our creator. What is there to be wondered at if he is kind to us? Parents bring up their children. Do you call that an act of kindness? They must act that way. Therefore, we should force our demands on God. He is our father and mother, isn't he? If the son demands his patrimony and gives up food and drink in order to enforce his demand, then the parent hands his share over to him 3 years before the legal time. Or when the child demands some rupees from his mother and says over and over again, "Mother, give me a couple of rupees. I beg you on my knees." Then the mother, seeing his earnestness and unable to bear it any more, tosses the money at him. There is another benefit from holy men, from holy company. It helps one cultivate discrimination between the real and the unreal. God alone is real, that is to say, the eternal substance, and the world is unreal, that is to say, transitory. As soon as a man finds his mind wandering away to unreal, he should apply discrimination. The moment an elephant stretches out its trunk to eat a plantain tree in a neighbor's garden, it gets a good blow from the iron goad of the driver. A neighbor asked the question, "Sir, why does a man have sinful tendencies?" Master replied, "In God's creation, there are all sorts of things. It is He who gives us good tendencies, and it is He who gives us evil tendencies." Then the neighbor further asked, "In that case, we are not responsible for any of our sins, are we?" Sri Ramakrishna replied, "Sin begets its own result. That is God's law. Won't you burn your tongue if you chew a chili? One may not realize this in youth. I have looked into the hearth in the kitchen of the Kali temple when logs are being burnt. At first, the wet wood burns rather well. It doesn't seem then that it contains much moisture. But when the wood is sufficiently burnt, all the moisture runs back to one end. At last, water squirts from the fuel and puts out the fire. So, one should be careful about anger, passion, and greed. Take for instance the case of Hanuman. In a fit of anger, he burnt Lanka. At last he remembered that Sita was living in the Ashoka grove. Then he began to tremble lest the fire should injure her. Then the neighbor asked the question, "Sir, why has God created wicked people?" Sri Ramakrishna answered, that is his will, his play. In his Maya, cosmic play, there exists avidya, ignorance, as well as vidya, knowledge. Darkness is needed too. It reveals all the more the glory of light. There is no doubt that anger, lust and greed are evils. Why then has God created them? In order to create saints. A man becomes a saint by conquering the senses. Is there anything impossible for a man who has subdued his passions? He can even realize God through his grace. Again, see how his whole play of creation is perpetuated through lust. Wicked people are needed too. At one time, the tenants of an estate became unruly. The landlord had to send Golak Chowdhury, who was a ruffian. He was such a harsh administrator that the tenants trembled at the mention of his name. There is a need for everything. Once Sita said to her husband, "O Rama, it would be grand if every house in Ayodhya were a mansion. I find many houses old and dilapidated." "But my dear," said Rama, "if all the houses were beautiful, what would the masons do?" God has created all kinds of things. He has created good trees, poisonous plants, and weed as well. Among the animals there are good, bad, and all kinds of creatures. Then the neighbor asked, "Sir, is it ever possible to realize God while leading the life of a householder?" Master said, "Certainly, but one should weep for God. When the impurities of the mind are thus washed away, one realizes God. The mind is like a needle covered with mud, and God is like a magnet. The needle cannot be united with the magnet unless it is free from mud. Tears wash away the mud, which is nothing but lust, anger, greed, and other evil tendencies, and the inclination to worldly enjoyments as well. As soon as the mud is washed away, the magnet attracts the needle. That is to say, man realizes God. Only the pure in heart see God. A fever patient has an excess of the watery element in his system. What can quinine do for him unless that is removed? Why shouldn't one realize God while living in the world? But Sri Ramakrishna said, one must live in holy company, pray to God, weeping for His grace, and now and then go into solitude. Unless the plants on a footpath are protected at first by fences, they are destroyed by cattle. Then the neighbor asked, "Then householders too will have the vision of God, won't they?" Master said, "Everybody will sure be liberated. But one should follow the instructions of the Guru. If one follows a devious path, one will suffer in trying to retrace one's steps. It takes a long time to achieve liberation. A man may fail to obtain it in a life. Sages like Janaka performed worldly duties. They performed them bearing God in their minds, as a dancing girl dances, keeping jars or trays on her head. Haven't you seen how women folk walk, talking and laughing while carrying water pitchers on their heads?" Neighbor again asked the question, "Master, you refer to the instructions of the Guru. How shall we find him?" Master said, "Anyone and everyone cannot be a Guru. A huge timber floats on the water and can carry many animals as well, but a piece of worthless wood sinks if a single man sits on it and drowns him. In every age, God incarnates Himself as the Guru to teach humanity. What is knowledge, and what is the nature of this ego? God alone is the doer and none else. That is knowledge. I am not the doer. I am a mere instrument in His hand. Therefore I say, O Mother, thou art the operator and I am the machine. You are the indweller and I am the house. You are the driver and I am the carriage. I move only as you move me. I do only as thou makest me do. I speak only as thou makest me speak. Not I, but thou. Master said, one cannot achieve anything through laziness and procrastination. People who desire worldly enjoyment say about spiritual progress, well, it will all happen in time. We shall realize God some time or other. There is a very interesting story told in the Mahabharata, Shanti Parva. The story of three fishes. Addressing King Yudhishthira, Bhishma said, these two, namely, one that provides for the future and one possessed of presence of mind, always enjoys happiness. The man of procrastination, however, is lost. In this connection, there is an excellent story of a procrastinating person in the matter of settling his course of action. In a lake that was not very deep and which abounded with fishes, there lived three Sakula fishes that were friends and constant companions. Amongst those three, one had much forethought and always liked to provide for what was coming. Another was possessed of great presence of mind. The third was procrastinating. One day, certain fishermen coming to that lake began to bail out its waters to a lower ground through diverse outlets. Beholding the waters of the lake gradually decreasing, the fish that had much foresight, addressing his two companions on that occasion of danger, said, well, a great danger is about to overtake all the aquatic creatures living in this lake. Let us speedily go to some other place before our path becomes obstructed. He that resists future evil by the aid of good policy never incurs serious danger. Let my counsels prevail with you. Let us all leave this place. That one amongst the three who was procrastinating answered, it is well said. There is, however, no need of such haste. This is my deliberate opinion. Then the other fish, who was noted for presence of mind, addressed his procrastinating companion and said, when the time for anything comes, I never fail to provide for it according to policy. Hearing the answers of his two companions, he of great forethought and considerable intelligence immediately set out by a current and reached another deep lake. The fisherman, seeing that all the water had been bailed out, shut in the fishes that remained by diverse means. Then they began to agitate the little water that remained, and as they began to catch the fish, the procrastinating Sakula was caught with many others. When the fishermen began to tie a long string the fishes they had caught, the Sakula, who was noted for presence of mind, thrust himself into the company of those that had been so tied and remained quietly among them, biting the string, for he thought that he should do it to give the appearance of being caught. The fishermen believed that all the fishes attached to the string had been caught. Then they then removed them to a piece of deep water for washing them. Just at that time, the Sakula fish, noted for presence of mind, leaving the string, quickly escaped. That fish, however, who had been procrastinating, foolish and senseless, and without intelligence as he was, and therefore unable to escape, met with death. Thus everyone meets with destruction, like the procrastinating fish, who from that want of intelligence cannot divine the hour of danger. That man, again, who regarding himself clever, does not seek his own good in proper time, incurs great danger like the Sakula, who had presence of mind. Hence these two only, he that has much forethought and he that he has presence of mind, succeed in obtaining happiness. He, however, that is procrastinating meets with destruction. Diverse are the divisions of time, such as Kashta, Kala, Muhurta, day, night, lava, month, fortnight, 6 seasons, kalpa, year. The divisions of the earth are called place. Time cannot be seen. As regards the success of any object or purpose, it is achieved or not achieved according to the manner in which the mind is set to think of it. These two, namely, the person of forethought and the person of presence of mind, have been declared by the rishis to be the foremost of men in all treatises on morality and profit, and in those dealing with emancipation. One, however, that does everything after reflection and scrutiny, one that avails oneself of proper means for the accomplishment of one's objects, always succeeds in achieving much. Those again that act with due regard to time and place succeed in winning results better than the mere man of foresight and the man of presence of mind. So Sri Ramakrishna says one must really make earnest effort and undertake spiritual disciplines so that he can realize the truth. It depends upon to what extent the man is seeking the truth. If a person is really sincere and honest, he will definitely put his maximum effort to realize the truth in the very life. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, truth is revealed immediately as soon as the mind is freed from impurities. So, purification of the mind is the greatest task everyone has to face with. There is no other way. Unless the mind is purified, one cannot really experience the happiness, the bliss of realizing the truth. But Sri Ramakrishna assures that everybody will sure be liberated. Only those who make efforts earnestly with a yearning heart will realize the truth early. Page 922, Gospel. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in his room with the devotees. He was talking to a Christian devotee named Mishra. Mishra was born of a Christian family in northwestern India and belonged to the Quaker sect. He was 35 years old. Though clad in European dress, he wore the ochre cloth of a sannyasi under his foreign clothes. 2 of his brothers had died on the day fixed for the marriage of one of them. And on that very day, Mishra had renounced the world. Mishra said, "It is Rama alone who dwells in all beings." Sri Ramakrishna said to the younger Naren, within Mishra's hearing, "Rama is one, but he has 1,000 names. He who is called God by the Christians is addressed by the Hindus as Rama, Krishna, Ishvara, and by other names. A lake has many gods. The Hindu drink water at one god and call it jal. The Christians at another and call it water. The Muslims at a third and call it pani. Likewise, he who is God to the Christians is Allah to the Muslims. Mishra said, Jesus is not the son of Mary, he is God himself. To the devotees, now he pointing to Sri Ramakrishna. Now he is as you see him. Again, he is God himself, referring to Sri Ramakrishna. You are not able to recognize him. I have seen him before in visions, though I see him now directly with my eyes. I saw a garden where he was seated on a raised seat. Another person was seated on the ground, but he was not so far advanced. There are 4 doorkeepers of God in this country. Tukaram in Bombay, Robert Michael in Kashmir, himself, meaning Sri Ramakrishna, in this part of the country, and another person in eastern Bengal. Master said, do you see visions? Mishra, sir, when I lived at home, I used to see light. Then I had a vision of Jesus. How can I describe that beauty? How insignificant is the beauty of a woman compared with that beauty? After a while, Mishra took off his trousers and showed the devotees the Gerva loin cloth that he wore underneath. Presently Sri Ramakrishna went out in the porch. Returning to the room, he said to the devotees, I saw him, meaning Mishra, standing in a heroic posture. As he uttered these words, he went into samadhi. He stood facing the west. Regaining partial consciousness, he fixed his gaze on Mishra and began to laugh. Still in an ecstatic mood, he shook hands with him and laughed again. Taking him by the hands, he said, you will get what you are seeking. Mishra, with folded hands, said, since that day, I have surrendered to you my mind, soul and body. Sri Ramakrishna was laughing, still in an ecstatic mood. The master resumed his seat. Mishra was describing his worldly life to the devotees. He told them how his 2 brothers were killed when the canopy came down at the time of marriage. Sri Ramakrishna asked the devotees to take care of Mishra. We should stop here. Any question? You are welcome to ask. So if you really aspire for the vision of God, surely we will get it. God looks into our mind, and when he is convinced we are sincere, definitely will be rewarded. This human life is given for realizing God in this very life. It's only on this earth plane that man is to undertake discipline to realize the truth. The other worlds are not meant for spiritual sadhana. The man who has acquired merits on account of philanthropic activities, after he leaves the body, he may get into a higher region, a different type of loka, where he enjoys immensely the glory of the place. As soon as the merits are over, again he falls back on this earth. In the same way, if a person has committed bad deeds he will be going to some regions where he suffers a lot. As soon as the period of suffering is over, again he is dropped back on this earth. So the earth is the place where one has to work for the realization of God. No other place is fixed for this purpose. So human life is considered very auspicious, and one should make use of the life to the best of one's capacity. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean, and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name that path for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust are the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou, who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the restorer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.